the oldest literary society in New York. And we've been doing this poetry contest for 47 years. I want to congratulate and thank all the winners. Can we give a round of applause for all the winners that made it out today? Through the rain, through the floods. Let's see here. So, the best and brightest students here in the 5 boroughs of New York, we've invited to read their award-winning poems here at the beautiful Jefferson Market Library. We want to congratulate all the talent these winners and shortlists have to offer. We want to thank you for your hard work and today to celebrate your poetic achievement. Now, we gladly welcome for this program our featured speaker, Harry Miller. I was looking at a bio for Harry. Let's see. Looks like somebody didn't show up and all their friends did. Isn't that crazy? All right. Harry Miller was a offensive lineman at the Ohio State University college program. I don't know if you know anything about college football, but it's by far probably the best, if not the brightest, football program. To be debated. Harry Miller made the headlines when he publicly shared his struggles with mental health and suicidal thoughts. In March 2022, Miller announced his medical retirement from football, citing his battle with anxiety and depression. He graduated Ohio State with an engineering degree and has become a mental health advocate, using his platform to raise awareness and encourage others to seek support. He has spoken openly about his experiences, including an emotional appearance on NBC's Today Show, which won a Daytime Emmy for his performance. He also released a TED Talk that has been blacklisted from the current TED Talk. It never was released, but he did give a TED Talk, which is pretty impressive. And not only that, he's just an amazing writer. He's a friend. And without further ado, he would like to address the winners of this contest with his presentation of Hope for Young Poets. Let's give a warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Harry Miller.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll start with a quick epigraph. What is a poet? An unhappy man who hides deep anguish in his heart, but whose lips are so formed that when the sigh and cry pass through them, it sounds like lovely music. And people flock around the poet and say, "Sing again soon." That is, may new sufferings torment your soul, but your lips be fashioned as before. For the cry would only frighten us, but the music, that is blissful. Soren Kierkegaard. Not so long ago, say 100,000 years, give or take, a clan of humans sat huddled around a fire. It was a full moon night, milky and opulent. Every star was visible then, every constellation intersected and contested with each other in the void, the scorpion versus the ram, the lion versus the bear, like some glowing intergalactic gladiatorial death match. The hominids wore animal skins upon themselves, so their hands were smooth, but their arms and backs were hairy and striped, and tusks jutted out from their faces and horns from the tops of their heads. They played games of chance with whittled bones and animal teeth, filled their stomachs with flanks of safari venison, and got high on fingerfuls of fermented honey scooped straight out of a hive, which they passed around in a circle. And every few seconds, one of them would look over their shoulder into the tall grass, waving like seaweed ghosts in the breeze, and argue with their recently discovered consciousness if those glowing dots out there in the brush were fireflies mating, or the lurking eyes of a famished saber-toothed tiger. A bowl of rank liquid was passed around, something that was said to be a gift from a god who was a man but also a fish, and a woman sometimes, and also a deer, depending on who you asked. The people drank with both hands and hissed at the bitterness, rejoiced in the dulling of their sapience, anything to take the edge off of the irksome knowledge of good and evil. One of them raised his fingers into the night air, transfixed them into strange and mystical shapes, and casted shadows against the moon. Here is the story of our people. And before any musical instrument had been invented or paintbrush fashioned, the shaman made the sounds of rushing water and of raging fire and of the lowing of beast and of the crying of men and of the vacant sound of nothing at all. And he paced back and forth and in revolutions around the flame, and he contorted his face and body, and he made magic with his voice. He casted spells, blew dust and flower petals from his palms, picked up some bones and rocks, clasped them in his hands, and chanted into his stickman creation. He breathed into its nostrils and lowered the creature beside his feet to dance between his legs like a stringless puppet, and the people were singing and raising their voices to the purple, star-pricked dome of the heavens, and they had fewer words back then to scream out. Sun, moon, day and night, water and fire, earth and wind, man, woman, and monster. Then a child pointed up at the sky and said, "Where does the sun go at night?" And the people stopped in their tracks and looked at one man, and the shaman raised his palm and said back to the child, "I know where the sun goes." And he spoke, and he explained, and the child, thirstier for truth now, said, "And where does the rain come from?" And the shaman pointed to the horizon and said back to the child, "I know where the rain comes from." And he sang something, but now the child had been emboldened to ask his final question, the one it had wanted to ask all along. It leaned back into its mother's chest, and the spot beside them was cold and empty, and the child said, "And where did my father go?" And the shaman placed his hand against his heart and said to the child, "I know where your father waits for you." Time passed. More recently, say in the first few millennium BC, megalithic supercities rose up in the fertile land between two ancient rivers, Sumer, Assyria, Babylon, and more, waged war against one another in the sands. They constructed ziggurats and towers made of marble building blocks so tall they might roll God's ankle. They invented the calendar and the zodiacs. They had a coat of law and many coats of bronze and growing piles of gold coins, rubies, and emeralds. They even had an epic myth of a man, not quite mortal, who was taller and nobler than the rest of us, who ventured into the underworld and plucked wisdom from the depths of the pit for the sake of all humanity. There was a story of a flood, tales of giants who walked the earth among us, the offspring of mere men and angels. There were talks of outcasts and of demons, of creatures who looked like men but had the heads of bulls, of a mighty faraway people who were once great but were lost to the sea because they became too big for their britches. Around that time, along the amniotic shores of the Mediterranean, a tribe sprouted up, a group of people who constantly wandered through the wilderness, had moments of dominion, fell into exile, then slavery, then the wilderness again, then crafted a kingdom, then lost it again, and so on and so forth. And all the while, every few generations, one person among the public would wander off from the crowd to the top of a mountain, or into the middle of the desert, or into the remotest trough of the farthest valley, and this person would go out to commune with something greater, because, as Joseph Campbell, the mythologist, put it, the only true wisdom lives far from mankind, out in the great loneliness, and can be reached only through suffering. Privation and suffering alone open the mind to all that is hidden to others. And this was no easy task. It is no job, be not mistaken. This position we speak of is not like any farmer or metallurgist. It is a vocation in the truest sense, from the Latin vocare, to call. It is a calling. Yes, it is a terrifying prospect, a burdensome responsibility. That is why most are hesitant at first. Take as an ancient example the story of he who was known as the weeping prophet. For when he warned his people of their impending woe, they laughed at him and cast him out. His name was Jeremiah, and when first presented with his purpose and ordination, he cried out in fear, "O Lord God, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child." And the response was swift, "Say not, I am a child, for thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee, and whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. Be not afraid. I have put my words in thy mouth. I have this day set thee over the nations and of the kingdoms, to root out, to pull down, and to destroy, and to throw down, to build, and to plant." Such is the purpose of the poet. The poet protests, proclaims, professes, and prophesies. The poet displays merciless exactness to remove society's rot and the soul's debris. More time passes. Quite recently, just a few hundred years ago, the Gutenberg press is created. Messages spread like wildfire amongst the masses. There are pretend poets in the street, false prophets screaming on every corner. We are surrounded by supposed seers, soothsayers, and propagandists, but some truth tellers prevail. Those not concerned with what is fashionable And they are no longer stuck at the tops of pyramids or out beyond the bounds of unleashed nature. They are in the public, raising up the people. They tell them there is a change coming. Gather up your forks and knives and trophies and melt them all down. We are casting bullets for the coming retaliation. An uprising is imminent. The people have spoken. Thus, the poet is the first revolutionary, the timeless renegade. Every noble cause has begun with one well-crafted paragraph. Every recent revolt brought out from the nearest coffee shop, tavern, or library. Yes, here is the purpose of the poet. Here is the poem's potency, that it is a tool of both art and war. It is the ornate syntax, that is the gilded cutlery set, the one you save just for the finest guests, that is melted down into the musket ball and bayonet of verse and sonnet. For whereas any other art has devices specific to it, as in a piano to music, the brush to paint, cameras to film, the poet's only tool is the most spectacular yet mundane tool of them all, the word. The poet makes art out of the same thing with which we construct our grocery lists. What other art can claim such a hurdle to overcome? And yet, don't all other art forms have the same final esteem? Don't all other mediums of expression aspire for that ultimate compliment, that they might be described as poetic? Thus, the poet is both a janitor and a prince. It is a lonely office, tasked with guarding and keeping custody of our language, the thing which ideas themselves are made out of. The poet is the watchman who safeguards the holy grammar, and there are many among us. We are them who keep that oath. The wilderness is all around. The great loneliness persists between one another. There is a begging revelation that has not been realized. There is a dripping, succulent poem aching to be written. We are now in the modern age, and we consider ourselves to be well-dressed, well-mannered, and quite civilized. We believe we have outgrown our myths and magics, but our superstitions have not gone anywhere. They have just become more proper. We have maintained our same prehistoric rituals, dazzled by laser pointers and flashing lights. We are surrounded by a nauseous superfluity of words, dizzying nonsense and deep-seated contradictions, talking heads spewing slapstick philosophy and changing sides so fast it gives us all a fatal case of whiplash. We suppose we have overcome our sorcery, but all we have done is replace the rainmaker for the weatherman. Therefore, it is time to dig deep. The role of the poet has not changed, it never will, and it has remained far from useless. If anything, it has become even more necessary. Our culture sags and discolors. We have to scavenge profoundly into our hidden memories and subgenetic truths for the beautiful facts which we drank through our mother's umbilical cords. This is an age of nonsense. This is an age of wasted words. At the moment, we are embarking on a strange de-evolutionary process which will revert us back to thoughtless, slimy invertebrate amphibians who have a mild body temperature and no eyelids, much less convictions, and in short time our hearts will become vestigial structures just like our appendices. Muscles not put in use shrivel at the insertion and wag helplessly. Our tongues have already seemed to take the shapes of processed hams, pink, boneless, evocative of some flavor, but ultimately insipid. I can feel the whittling atrophy of meaningless. Can you also? The terrible realization of divine loneliness upon the hollow wake of every disposable sentence. There must be another way. There must be a reclamation of our symbols, or else our words will become just another worthless currency. And when that happens, what then will be the value of our cries? Just another empty animal sound. No more conversations, no more enlightenment or illumination, just moans and cackles from a painted wall parody of a zoo exhibit. We face a crisis of losing that which made us human in the first place. The poet is needed painfully, most urgently. I do tell you this. I could have been a rich man. I could have been a king. I could have had 1,000 horses and twice as many concubines, but I could not stand the stench of manure and perfume. I could have been a warlord. I could have been a celebrity, but the public's hate and fear, the masses' love and adoration, it is all the same. Fleeting, fickle, fruitless. Consider lastly the argument between the poet and the clown in the prelude of von Goethe's Faust. The clown wants to give the people their fare, to amuse them in a way that garners widespread appreciation, but the poet disagrees. Don't speak to me of crowds at whose mere sight the spirit flees us. That you could confine the surging rabble that draws us with might to compromise our every great design. Lead me to heaven's silence, whose delight the poet only feels. Let love combine with friendship to create and nurse with godlike hands the gift of verse. What deep in our breast was thus inspired? What shy lips babbled in a quiet hour, clumsy perhaps and rarely as desired, is swallowed by a savage moment's power. And years may pass before it has acquired its perfect form and opens like a flower. Glitter is coined to meet the moment's rage. The genuine lives on from age to age. Yes, I could have been a rich man, I could have been a king, I could have been a warlord, celebrity, or a clown, but in the end, I became none of those things. I became a poet instead, and the poet says this: I will live forever. I have dwelt in heaven's silence, and I left with several stanzas. Go ahead and nail me up on any poster right next to my pamphlet. My life is my thesis. I am not ashamed of what I believe. I will not succumb to cheap superstition. I am not afraid. I will show you what you are, for I know what I am. My gospel is not the scrolling words of the newsman on the colored television set. I will not be a worrisome slave to market speculation. I have things to say, things that matter. Every tragedy, personal, public, or providential, can be justified only one way, and that is through poetry. And it was our first medicine and will also be our final obituary. It was our first antidote for the pangs of our wonderment, and nothing has come to take its place, though many things have tried. Again, it is a vocation, and every few generations or so, some children feel the calling, and they wander out and say the words that they can't quite explain how they know, but they know them nonetheless. So if you hear them already, there is no ignoring it now. It's much too late for that. Melt it all down. Be a poet, for God's sake. Tell me where the sun goes from where the rain comes and where my Father waits for me. Go out to all the nations and root out, pull down, build up, and plant. Fear not the pain, sorrow, and privation. It is your task now to make sense of it all. This is a call to arms. Mayday, Mayday. I am broadcasting loud and clear on every frequency to all free peoples. Please save us from ourselves, and may the day come that I see it. Taste your language when you speak it. Lead your people to the promised land. Sharpen your tongue and swing it. Make a weapon of your words, because in the beginning that is all there was, and in the end too, that is all there will be. Congratulations to the winners.
This really, truly is an honor. I've been doing this poetry contest. It's 47 years long, or 47 years old, but I've been participating in regards to the management and making it happen for the last 13 years. And I've seen some of the most amazing talent, people that I can only imagine what their potential is. And this is really a great honor. And I want to say, once again, let's congratulate all of our winners that made it out in the rain. The weatherman be damned. This is, first off, do you have your phone? Okay, great. So our first winner is Francesca Howard from the Beekman School. She wrote a great poem called What the Ocean Knows. She'll be receiving a award-winning certificate, a copy of Elizabeth Barrett Browning's The Sonnets from the Portuguese, a marriage license between Robert and Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and, look at this, this is the best part, U.S. currency. Don't spend it all in one place. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Francesca Howard.
Read slowly, rep in.
This poem is titled, What the Ocean Knows. The ocean knows what it's like to lose, to mourn the melancholy buried in her blues. She knows of anchors dropped and never drawn, of breathless, broken bodies drifting along. The ocean hoards the brine-born secrets of the swallowed salt, seals their silence in her watery vault. She feels the splinters of many a sundered deck, relishes the sweet salt taste of a dying breath. She is the judge who sentences stray sailors to their deep sea deaths. She has kissed the cold lips of those who didn't make it to shore. She drags their souls to Neptune's floor. She locks away the keens of long goodbyes, of drowned deckhands and futile cries. She is an endless tomb of vanished voices, a siren's log of ruinous choices. Some made in fear, some made in flight, all lost below the sorry night. She drinks from the depths of grief's dark well. She casts a divine and deadly spell. The ocean knows how to take how to keep, how to cradle like a mother, rocking her children to their final sleep. But the ocean is no plundering thief. She gardens beauty and color within her reefs. She knows how to give, how to live, how to return what was lost, how to take the jagged and smooth it into something soft. She knows how to gift life to the dead and make the broken whole again. She's birthed sea kings out of more than 1,000 fallen men. She knows resurrections in her tides, how sea foam thrives in chaos, how kelp will grow where wreckage lies. The ocean remembers what mortals forget, that her shores forgive each tide's regret. She knows that redemption cannot come from holding everything together. But if you let things grow, let them change, they're bound to wash back better. She knows surrender is not the same as defeat, that revival is where the sky and high waters meet. The ocean has grieved more than we ever will, but she teaches her waters how to heal, nourish, and fill. No matter which way her tide turns, what's lost along the ocean floor will always be returned. She keeps going, keeps growing. Our ocean is all-knowing. Even her weeping waves eventually learn to blot their tears. Thank you.
All right, that was fantastic, Francesca. So what we're going to do as far as the format, all of you guys are going to read your poems, right? And then we're going to have you read them again, okay? Just because they're really great. The next winner that we have on is, let's give a warm round of applause for Alexandra Anthony, ladies and gentlemen, from the Mary Louise Academy.
Certificate, money.
Hello, everybody. I'm really honored to be here. My poem is called Moscow in May, and it is inspired by Home Thoughts from Abroad by Robert Browning. 1. Oh, to marvel at Moscow in the middle of May, and to wander through parks caked with childhood and clay, to encounter the rain to which poets sing praise, and to quickly dissolve in the warm, happy days. 2. Oh, to fall at the feet of my city in May, and to witness the bloom of horrific dismay. View the ignorance planted in faces around. See the cruelty sprout from the desolate ground. Watch the blind birches grow out of bones in the parks. Eye the flower beds watered with spiteful remarks. Thank you.
All right, Alexandra Anthony, beautiful. Let's get a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Salil Eva Wisman from the Hunter College High School. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Salil.
Oh, you have it? Okay, yeah, that would be... Actually, no, okay, I got it. Okay. This is Samichki. Snap, slip, drop. A mound of husks gathers, pale and splintered. My grandmother's fingers move by memory. Her nails trace the edges, coax seeds free with a practiced twist. Each shell splits with the soft, familiar crack of knuckles long worked. After Chernobyl, my grandmother tells me, they planted siemchki in the ground. Phytoremediation, scientists called it, but it was only survival. How roots threaded down into blackened soil, how each stem drank up the bitterness, bore the brunt of what the earth couldn't bear. A field of sunflowers sprouted from irradiated land, a vigil of gold-bowed heads, petals stubbornly straining towards light. Even here, something can grow. Years from now, I'll find myself on a city stoop, cracking seeds between my teeth, spitting shells into my palm, thinking of sunflower fields gone silent, of walls that still hold her shadow, and of other shadows too. Fields turned to soot and smoke, roots clawing through rubble and ruin. I'll think of how Ukraine's soil has borne it all. This bitterness, this breaking, the harvests, the hunger, and still, Sonyashniki bloom.
All right, so we have three other winners that unfortunately could not make it today. Aisley Glancy from the Mary Louise Academy and Alexei Varop. I typically like to, if they can't make it, I'd like to have. Do we have any? Do you have anyone that would like to volunteer to read one of these poems? Yeah, Genesis. All right, so let's see here. First of all, let's give a warm round of applause for Genesis. Say Jessica Aisling. Here we go. So, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to speak directly into the microphone. She's gonna be reading a poem by Alexi Vera called "Love Remembered." Can you handle that? Yeah. Directly, slow.
Hello? Okay. Love remembered. In my memory, the sky was a shade of water, loose blue, 3 parts white, 1 part cornflower, plucked from the breast of an uncorngrous mountain, gift wrapped and delivered for the twilight to lose. In my memories, my hair is loose, like water cascading off the edge of the world, licking the side of a building, fluttering away in the wind, like shredding origamis. In my memories, my mind is loose, bended and outstretched, collecting nanoseconds like bite-sized pieces of glass, sandy see-through, stolen from the sea, kept hidden in the nape of your neck. In my memories, my tongue, breath, lungs, lips, cheeks, all loose and following out like running water, slipping through your fingers, falling like an umbrella shape, the shadow of moonlight. In my loose watery memories, my heart glistens like rainwater, 3 parts longing, 1 part fear, all parts muddled, shaded with the remnants of watercolors. And in the universe, I used to paint the sunsets. That's all.
You want to do one more? We have your poem as well. Let's see. Let's give it up for Genesis, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. All right. So we're missing Aisley Glancy. All right. So this is a poem entitled An Eye for an Eye, inspired by Childe Roland, The Dark Tower Came by Robert Browning. Let's give it up once more for Genesis, ladies and gentlemen.
As I blew my slug horn, the yelling ceased. The screaming voices of my fallen friends and the dead once alive have come to an end. The sun is setting, I'm going to sleep. My head is pounding and my knees feel weak. I wonder what's worse, the silence or screams. I awake before dawn to frightening howls. Can the fearsome beast see the dead here too? As I walked in the tower, these thoughts grew. My worries rose with them, but I arrived too late and turned back as I pulled out and arrived. At the door, I heard it whispered to me, greed, it said. I shivered and felt a chill. Greed doomed humanity, living and dead. The door burst open. There was just a bed. That was all that was in the room. That's it. All those nights with their confidence and grit, how many had died just for a bed? I laughed and I laughed. This must be a joke. In a rage, I walked towards the door when it spat. You fool! Its grating voice had me compelled. Did you forget the Holy Grail? It teased. Under the bed, it enticed me with ease. As its long, spidery fingers held gold, I made him a deal, an eye for an eye. My soul is now trapped in his sick, twisted game. On my tombstone, written where I now lie, Childe Roland to the Dark Tower came.
Take a seat. We'll get back to you. Well, actually, you know what? We'll do. So, let's see here. Genesis wrote a poem.
Yeah, they call it.
Yeah.
Error.
So, and how do you pronounce your last name?
Genesis Lasso.
Laszlo. Yeah. So let's give a warm round of applause for Genesis Laszlo, an original poem. What's the name of the poem? An Affair. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it from Genesis Laszlo.
Your one striking heart is clouded with greed. Even making amends wouldn't fix your needs. Every man along the world is tied around your fingers, yet even so, you eventually got caught. Now the scandal you created is being talked a lot. You've now realized your mistake, but it is far too late. For now, I'm going to move on Time has passed. Now I'm healing. The woman I'm kissing is far more bearing. While I'm living, you're digging. Too much shame for you to be living.
Take a seat. Okay, so this is the part where we're gonna try to. What's going on? You have your poem, right? Okay, so we're gonna go back around with Francesca Howard. If you can just put the microphone as close as you can, be as loud as you can, and slow it down. We want to hear every single word of this award-winning poem. Let's give it up for Francesca Howard from the Beekman School, ladies and gentlemen.
This poem is titled, What the Ocean Knows. The ocean knows what it's like to lose, to mourn the melancholy buried in her blues. She knows of anchors dropped and never drawn, of breathless, broken bodies drifting along. The ocean hoards the brine-born secrets of the swallowed salt, seals their silence in her watery vault. She feels the splinters of many a sundered deck, relishes the sweet salt taste of a dying breath. She is the judge who sentences stray sailors to their deep-sea deaths. She has kissed the cold lips of those who didn't make it to shore. She drags their souls to Neptune's floor. She locks away the keens of long goodbyes, of drowned deckhands and futile cries. She is an endless tomb of vanished voices, a siren's log of ruinous choices. Some made in fear, some made in flight, all lost below the sorry night. She drinks from the depths of grief's dark well. She casts a divine and deadly spell. The ocean knows how to take, how to keep, how to cradle like a grieving mother rocking her children to their final sleep. But the ocean is no plundering thief. She gardens beauty and color within her reefs. She knows how to give, how to live, how to return what was lost, how to take the jagged and smooth it into something soft. She knows how to gift life to the dead and make the broken whole again. She has birthed sea kings out of more than 1,000 fallen men. She knows resurrection in her tides, how sea foam thrives in chaos, how kelp will grow where wreckage lies. The ocean remembers what mortals often forget, that her shores forgive each tide's regret. She knows that redemption cannot come from holding everything together, but if you let things go, let them change, they're bound to wash back better. She knows surrender is not the same as defeat, that revival is where the sky and high waters meet. The ocean has grieved more than we ever will, but she teaches her waters how to heal, nourish, and fill. No matter which way her tide turns, what's lost along the ocean floor will always be returned. She'll keep going, keep growing. Our ocean is all-knowing. Even her weeping waves eventually learn to blot their tears. Thank you.
Now, Francesca, you say that you were inspired by the Elizabeth Barrett Browning poem, A Seaside Walk. What was it about that poem that inspired this particular poem?
I think just in general, the ocean metaphor, I think I've always been drawn to the way that like water can be used in so many different ways as a metaphor. And just, I mean, the idea of resilience was a big thing that spoke to me. But like also the vastness of the ocean, how much it has that we have yet to really explore. So I thought that was a really beautiful poem, and just that whole metaphor stuck out to me, and I thought that there could be some cool ways to play around with it.
Yeah, and I think you did an amazing job. What do you guys think? That was a pretty brilliant, award-winning poem, What the Ocean Knows by Francesca Howard from the Beekman School. Next up, we got Alexandra Anthony. You're a 10th grader at the Mary Louise Academy. Your poem is also inspired by, Robert Browning?
Yes.
Home Thoughts from Abroad. It's called Moscow in May. Can you read it really loud and really slow for everyone to hear?
Moscow in May, inspired by Home Thoughts from Abroad by Robert Browning. 1. Oh, to marvel at Moscow in the middle of May, and to wander through parks caked with childhood and clay, to encounter the rain to which poets sing praise, and to quickly dissolve in the warm, happy days. 2. Oh, to fall at the feet of my city in May, and to witness the bloom of horrific dismay. View the ignorance planted in faces around, see the cruelty spread from the desolate ground. Watch the blind birches grow out of bones in the parks, are the flower beds watered with spiteful remarks.
That was great, Alexander. Now, what was your inspiration? You said that you wrote is inspired by Home Thoughts from Abroad by Robert Browning. What was the unique inspiration for this poem?
After I read the Home Thoughts from Abroad by Robert Browning, I felt like there was an interconnectedness between his life and mine, because he spent a lot of time in Italy, but he still missed the place where he grew up, England. And I actually grew up in Moscow and spent a big part of my childhood there. And this poem is about how my feelings towards Moscow now, because I miss Moscow, but I know that I wouldn't feel the same if I ever tried to return, because right now it's just not a good time to live in Moscow. And this poem really left a huge impression on me because of this.
Woo. All right. Now, it's funny because, and we're not talking about global politics or anything like that, but our next writer is seeing the other side of that coin with her poem. How do you pronounce that? Simchki? Yeah. And can you tell everybody what Simchki is?
Yeah, it's just the
Right to your mouth so we can hear it.
Russian or Ukrainian word for sunflower seeds.
Sunflower seeds, Simchki. And this is a big part of the Ukrainian culture, the sunflowers.
I can't speak for the Ukrainian culture, but I know that in my family, it was it's the common snack, I guess.
Absolutely. Is the mic on? I can barely. There you go.
there we go.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to get you to read one more time Simchki. I know I used to live in Ukraine for a while, and I definitely had my share of sunflower seeds. The guy recording back there, you can see he's got the ghost on his T-shirt. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Salileva Wisman.
But, snap, slip, drop. A mound of husks gathers, pale and splintered. My grandmother's fingers move by memory. Her nails trace the edges, coax seeds free with a practiced twist. Each shell splits with the soft, familiar crack of knuckles long worked. After Chernobyl, my grandmother tells me, they planted semichki in the ground. Phytoremediation, scientists called it, but it was only survival. How roots threaded down into blackened soil, how each stem drank up the bitterness, bore the brunt of what the earth couldn't bear. A field of sunflowers sprouted from irradiated land, a vigil of gold-bowed heads, petals stubbornly straining towards light. Even here, something can grow. Years from now, I'll find myself on a city stoop, cracking seeds between my teeth, spitting shells into my palm, thinking of sunflower fields gone silent, of walls that still hold her shadow, and of other shadows too, fields churned to soot and smoke, roots clawing through rubble and ruin. I'll think of how Ukraine's soil has borne it all, this bitterness, this breaking, the harvests, the hunger, and still, Sonyashniki bloom.
Wow. Now, what was the inspiration for this poem?
Well, I guess the current war in Ukraine has made me feel more connected to Ukrainian culture. I think I mostly kind of grew up. I mostly grew up more so as thinking myself as Russian, and my mother as well, simply because I think when she grew up in Ukraine, she grew up speaking Russian. She didn't learn the Ukrainian language, and I think that's kind of just what her life was like growing up in the Soviet Union. But then now that this war kind of started, it's kind of made my family think more about our Ukrainian heritage and what that means, and with more conversations with my grandmother and my mother about it, just generally made me think more about it and made me want to write this poem.
Have you had a chance to visit Ukraine?
I did before the war, obviously, but when I was 11 or 12, because my grandfather still lives there, so I got to visit. And my mother grew up in Lviv, which is a really beautiful city there, and I still have my aunts and uncles and my grandfather who still live there. So.
And you got to see the dacha and all the.
Yeah, but actually we didn't see too many landmarks or anything, but it was mostly just visiting family. But in general, like we did, a lot of like coffee shops and like all the kind of touristy things.
Very
for that.
cool. Very cool. Once again, let's give it up for Salil, ladies and gentlemen. Now, our next speaker, Genesis. She what high school do you go to?
High School of Arts and Technology.
High School of Arts and Technology, and you have your teacher here with you as well. This is, I think, the first official submission that we've gotten from the High School of Arts and Technology. So we want to thank you, John. Right? Dave, I like it. We want to thank you for all of your support and help in fostering. Would you like to read your poem one more time, slow and loud?
Okay.
All right. Let's give it up for Genesis, ladies and gentlemen.
Your one striking heart is clouded with greed. Even making amends wouldn't fix your needs. Every man along the world is tied around your fingers. Yet even so, you eventually got caught. Now the scandal you created is being talked a lot. You've now realized your mistake, but it is far too late. For now I'm going to move on. Time has passed. Now I'm healing. The woman I'm kissing is far more bearing. While I'm living, you're digging. Too much shame for you to be living.
All right, so this is the part of the program where I'm thinking that we should open it up for the all the people that have come. Is there anything that you would like to say in regards to the winning poets? What about Dave?
It was very nice. We enjoyed it. All the poems were great. It was a lot of fun.
What did you like about the poems?
Well, I thought the imagery was very good. I thought people were very sophisticated. There was a lot of good rhythm in the poems, and I was impressed.
Well, we appreciate you coming out. Now, what about this young gentleman? This is the vice president, ladies and gentlemen, of the New York Brownie site, Tom Diagidio. What did you think?
I thought that, I was impressed and surprised at how sophisticated for high school students the poems are. And I'm also very impressed at the fact that in this day and age, when it's not the most prominent thing maybe, that high school students are actually working on writing poetry. I think that's maybe not the usual thing these days, and that's to be congratulated.
Now, this was the man that came across in the beginning and was looking to give hope for the young poets. After hearing the poets, what is your thoughts?
I was a huge fan. I'll go one by one. For the first one, I share a deep fascination with the ocean, anything with like that depth, scale, and profundity. And it's a place of recreation and also a place that kills people. So it's this very mysterious thing. So I love that poem. Second poem I thought was that sort of like homesickness. I think is like I'm really moved by that sentiment, and I think about even like the term nostalgia. Literally translates to the pain of home, and I think it's a hard realization to grapple with, a place that you love and perhaps you can't go back right now. So I thought that poem was fantastic. Same with the poem on sunflowers. I think that's a like the line like bearing the brunt of what the earth cannot handle or what the earth cannot bear. Like the notion of these dainty flowers like taking on the sins of a place, I think is a super powerful image, and rocks. And in regards to an affair, like I've had a similar life experience, so I thought it was a great poem and very similar. So I thought it was spot on. So I loved all the poems.
Yeah, I really also picked up on that whole irradiated land. I actually have been to Chernobyl, and just the idea of like seeing the Dnieper River and the sunflowers blossoming on all sides, and it was a striking image of bearing the brunt of the earth through the irradiated land and still producing such beautiful flowers. What did you think, Bob Gibbons?
Well, I was impressed by the poems, like Tom said, sophistication for high school students. I was also impressed by Aries' interpretation of all these poems. And I agree with also on this knowing ocean of the many stanza long poem, consistency of that, I was impressed by that also.
Let's give a round of applause for all of our award-winning poets, ladies and gentlemen. Not everybody could make it out, but these select few did, and you know what? I am really impressed with your poems. Is there anything that you would like to express?
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to the fellow winners. I was also impressed by all of your poems. You all spoke very eloquently, and I feel like I learned a lot just by hearing different perspectives about your heritages and your experiences. I thought that was really rewarding.
I would also love. I would also love to congratulate everybody, and just as it has been mentioned, I loved that there were so many different topics, and yet there seemed to be like a vein of some similarity across all the different poems. And what unites us, I feel, is our love for the topics that we have. That we are writing about, and I'm so happy that we came here together and expressed this love for what we were writing about.
Hey, look.
I'll just echo what was said by Alexandra and Francesca. And yeah, congratulations to everybody.
Hey, Janice, think what we figure out. Hey.
I'm very grateful that like I was able to participate in this event, and I would just like to say that like I'm really proud of like each and every one of the members that spoke about their poems, as it takes like a lot of confidence and a lot of like getting out of stage fright to really talk about your poems out in a public and in a crowd of people. And yeah.
Let's give it up.
Double fisting. Listen, so I think that the winners this year, first of all, we had a large, just so you know, we had a large amount of submissions from high schools all over the 5 boroughs. So to be selected for this is really an honor. And not only that, I think it might give you some sort of impetus or confidence to continue writing or anything that you want to achieve in this world. The poetry competition has served to show true beauty and truth. And I'm just so glad that you guys submitted and that you made it out here on a rainy day. So I just really want to thank all of our readers, all of our contestants, all the people that couldn't make it. And I just really want to, thank you. Thank you. It's really been a beautiful time. Let's give a warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for all of our readers, our poets, our winners. And I want to thank you also for making it out on a rainy day to the Jefferson Market Library. And just know for, I don't know, what grade are you in? So she might win again next year. You see? So you guys all have an opportunity once again to perform, and probably it's going to be a nicer day and there'll be a lot more people out here. But I just wanted to say, great job. You really did it. And enjoy your success, enjoy your win, and have a lovely evening. Thank you so much for the New York Browning Society and myself. I really appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you.